Hello my fellow collectioneers, this is Beth coming to you with a craft here at the Collectioneers Club today. I am proudly doing a collaboration with Sariea from DreamItDIY. She did a collaboration not too long ago with the Disney Damsels, and I love their channel as well as Sariea's, and she had come up with two lovely wreaths with the Disney Damsels. They wanted to do something for Nightmare Before Christmas, which is perfect for the Halloween season that's upon us right now. So if you haven't checked that out, I'm going to link it down below. I'm sure that most of you have. It's just adorable, and I have yet to make mine, but I'm going to. At any rate, I had seen that over at the Disney Damsels channel as well as Sariea's, and when I saw it, I reached out to Sariea and said, I'm a crafting gal too, would you want to do a collaboration? And she said yes, which I was thrilled about because she is just a doll and she does wonderful crafts over at her channel. So she had said that she had a viewer that asked not too long ago if she could do a Cinderella themed craft. And she suggested that we do that for our collaboration, which I was thrilled about. And so what I came up with is this humongo garland that you see behind me. And did I think that it was going to be this big? No. But bigger's better, as they say, right? So I like the color scheme. I like how it turned out. I think it turned out super cute. I think you're gonna like making it. I sure did. So let's do some crafting together.
Okay, we're going to start off with our paper supplies for the project. I got some glittery blue scrapbooking paper and some pumpkins that had coppery accents, scrapbooking paper. Got those at Hobby Lobby and they were like $1.99 a sheet. And just out of some cardstock here, I made my templates, and they look kind of like shirt pockets. That's the shape that I decided on, but you could do triangles or squares, whatever you decide. And then this is a Cinderella book that I got at Goodwill for only 69 cents. And I don't normally advocate tearing up books, but this one had a little water damage and it was only 69 cents, as I said, so I am just going to cut out my scenes directly from the book. And then these little name cards for Thanksgiving reminded me of Cinderella's carriage at the end of the movie, so I thought I would use those as kind of frames to showcase these smaller little name cards that I found at Walmart. They came with 3 different shapes, and I'm going to use the ovals just to kind of keep it a little bit on the simple side. And I'm going to use those to cut out the pictures that I decide to include from my Goodwill Cinderella book. So now we're going to do our assembly line, get everything ready to go to put everything together. Now these that I ended up with were about 5 inches and then 5.5 inches long, about 3 inches wide, and like I said, it ended up being huge. So if you wanted as big as mine, you could do that, or if not, you could do it smaller. But I did the smaller card out of the copper pumpkin paper, and then I did the larger one out of the glittery blue. And so I have my stacks of my paper pieces ready to go for assembly, and then here are those copper name cards, and I'm gonna snip those so that I have 2 little cards that I can use on my garland. And just to kind of give you an idea, I'm going to overlay one to the other, and I'm going to use that as a little picture frame on the front, and then I'm going to put my picture from my Cinderella book into that little frame, and here are the 10 that I ended up with. And this is kind of crafting the lazy way 101. Instead of trying to do these oval shapes exactly in the same way, I decided this is where those little cards from Walmart are going to come in. And I just placed them on the back of the page wherever I saw a little scene that I wanted to use. And I used it in the sunlight. I just kind of held it up to see where the shape was and glued it down, but I'm going to illustrate it with a little flashlight here, kind of give you an idea that you can see it through the page. And I glued it down on that side, and then I just cut around that shape, so didn't have to worry about measuring it out at each and every spot there. And they were a little hardier to work with, and so that worked out really well for me. And here are the scenes that I decided on. That was really kind of the hardest thing I think to decide on, was which ones to tell the story there. And then I'm going to put those in the frame, and that's going to be my garland. So we're going to go into assembly line here, and I'm going to layer these two cards. As I said, there's about a ½ inch difference. Oh, and I jarred my camera. I apologize for a little jiggle scene there. It'll get better here in a minute. So I'm just going to use my rubber cement, and I just adore rubber cement for this type of paper craft. It's very forgiving, and I like the little brush. You can really get it on to the thickness that you desire. And I'm using my ruler because I kind of made a line of the rubber cement down about a ½ inch from the top, and then I take my pumpkin paper and I'm just going to layer it on the back. I apologize. And press it down, and then we're going to have just a little snippet of the pumpkin paper peeking out of the bottom. And like I said, it's very forgiving, so I'm kind of adjusting it to make sure that eyeballing it there. Yep, I got it just where I want it. And I'm gonna place my little name card picture frame on the front. Again, the rubber cement worked very well. You want to use a little bit more just because of the glittery paper is a little harder to get things to adhere to, but it worked really well for the project. And then I'm going to take my next picture from my Cinderella book and do the same with the rubber cement. Put a little on the back there, and it's going to go in the center of my name card kind of picture frame there. And voila, you've got the start of your paper garland scenes. Thank you, Fairy Godmother. That made it a lot easier. So we've got all of them ready to go now, and I did 10 of them. Now going on to the ribbon portion of our supplies, I found this big football ribbon spool at Goodwill for $2.99, and the color matched, and it was just perfect. And then I've got a small roll of the coppery mesh that I got at Hobby Lobby as well that I'm going to use. So I cut these about 24 inches, the length of my cutting mat there, but I decided I wanted something else. It needed something else. So here's some gossamer fabric that I had in my craft stash, and it's got that white kind of glittery color that matches Cinderella's dress. So by the magic of video, I'm cutting it very quickly into strips. And so moving on over to putting holes in the paper element. What I did was there's just a ½ inch lip on the end of the bigger one, and I marked a 1/4 inch on each side and just connected the line. And then I used my ruler from each side and did about a 1/4 inch from the end and just kind of marked my ruler. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side 1/4 inch from the side and just mark it with my ruler. So you're basically just making kind of a crisscross on both ends. And then I'm going to take my hole punch and I'm going to just hole punch it where the cross happens between the two lines. And let me give you a closer look of what I'm doing here, just to kind of illustrate close up here. So you're basically just crisscrossing the two lines and you're going to hole punch on both ends, and it's just an easy way. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it just kind of keeps it uniform. So here I'm going to make the fabric portion. Going back to the fabric, I'm going to take a piece of the mesh, a piece of the ribbon, and a piece of that gossamer fabric, and I just kind of layer them higgledy-piggledy. Doesn't really have to match. And then I found a little suspension rod that I'm going to use to kind of thread my ribbon danglers there. So you're kind of making a little loop and then you're pulling them through. And you can do this many different ways. I like to get something really sturdy like the suspension rod. You could use your ruler, or heck, you could even use your ribbon if you can get it tight enough, but or string rather, what you're going to hang it on. So I'm pulling it through again, and I need to make 11 of these. I had 10 cards, so I'm going to make 11. So she's so helpful. I wish she could help me do my laundry. So at any rate, we're getting back to my suspension rod. I've got all 11 little tassels, and when it comes time, I'm just going to slide those off of the suspension rod and onto my rope. Speaking of my rope, here is a simple clothesline that I picked up. I needed the color white. It was inexpensive, nice and hardy, and I'm just going to thread those through my cards. Thank you so much, Fairy Godmother. She's so helpful. So here is the finished product, and I think it turned out super cute. I've got my cards and my ribbon danglers about 3 inches apart, and I think it looked really nice. And then here's the end loops to hang my garland up, and because when you cut off the clothesline it can kind of unravel, I decided just to do some hot glue dots, and I took a small amount of twine and I'm just going to wrap it around those ends. Easy peasy. And then you just need to cut off the twine and cut off the end of the rope. And here is the finished product. There she is doing her chores, looking at her dress that her mom had, that the mice helped her with, and I had to jump to her being upset after the stepsisters tore it up. There she is with the fairy godmother. And we're going on to her looking at her new dress admiringly. She's dancing with the prince. She's leaving the prince. That was fast. She's back into her rags. And then the slipper is on. And she's getting married. Yay! And here is just an overview of the finished garland. I think it turned out really pretty.
So now that you're gonna rush out and make your own Cinderella garland, I would love to see it. So first and foremost, before I forget, if you do make it, please, 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 if you post it on social media, tag me. I'll put all my connections down below. I would love to see how great yours turns out. I would like to thank the lovely Sariea over at DreamItDIY. She was so kind to do this collaboration with me. I really do appreciate it, Sariea. One of Cinderella's little birdie friends told me that Sariea has been working on a lovely pair of Cinderella ears. And I am sure that you're going to want to go right on over to Sariea's channel and follow her tutorial to make a lovely pair of Cinderella ears of your very own. So if you enjoyed crafting with me today, if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up, I certainly would appreciate it. And if you could subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that as well. I've got a lot more Disney content coming your way on this channel, and I would love to have you become a member of the Collectioneers Club with me. Down in the comments below, let me know, have you been crafting this fall season for Halloween or just autumn in general? And if so, what have you been working on? I would love to see what you have come up with. I'm always looking for new ideas. So until next time, thank you so very much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.